Hi, how are we doing today? How is everyone? I hope you're all feeling fantastic. I am. I'm looking outside my window and the sun is shining and I'm going away for the weekend, and so everything's good in my world today. And so I thought today might be a good time to talk about a topic that you all know that I love, a topic that I talk about quite a lot, because I have literally come from having none of this in my life to now having quite a lot of it in my life. And I know how bad it was when I had none and how much better life is now I have it. And so I'm going to talk about self-love again. But I have a couple of things that I want to challenge you to do today. So it's a slightly different type of chat that we're going to have. And the first thing I want to do, I'm going to start by asking you a question. Now, I want to say to you, to every single person that's listening, that's watching, that can hear me right now, who in your life, this is the question, who in your life do you love the most? Now, I am willing to bet that your mind instantly went off and went, my kids, my partner, my family, my pets, I don't know, my colleagues, my friends. I am also willing to bet that when you asked yourself, or when I asked you that question and your mind went off to find the answer, that not many of you said, me. I love me. I am the most important person in my life. If you did, hats off to you, because you've already got it and you probably don't need to listen to the rest of this. But the rest of you, which I'm willing to bet is more like 80, 90, 95% of you, I bet you didn't even think about yourself. I bet you didn't even consider thinking of yourself when I asked that question, who do you love most in your life? And that is part of the problem. That's part of what I want to get over. And I want to give you some tips on ways that you can do it, and it's easy. They're easy ways, so don't worry. I'm not going to be asking you to go off and do all kind of weird and wonderful things. The things I'm going to talk about today, the ways to start building your self-love muscle, are going to be quite easy things that we can all manage. And that's the thing, that is the first thing, I guess. I do want you to think of it like a muscle. I don't want you to think that you can just make a choice, that you can literally just say to yourself one day, well, okay, so I keep hearing how important self-love is, and so I'm just going to love myself now, and then that's it. Good, we're all done. You're going to love yourself forever. Does not work like that. This takes work, it takes practice, and it takes commitment. Just like it would to build, your bicep or your six pack or whatever it is that you would try to build on your physical body. You can't just go and step foot in the gym and spend half an hour on the treadmill or on the bench press and suddenly go, that's it, now I'm good. I'm buff, I've done it, I'm toned. I never need to go back there and do that again. I'm all good for the rest of my life. Doesn't work that way, unfortunately, as much as we all wish it did. It doesn't work that way. You have to practice and you have to hone this skill, much like anything else. And it does take commitment and it does take work. It's the kind of thing that you can think you've got, right? You can, this is experience of my journey. I would do the work and I'd put the time in and I'd practice a couple of things that I'm going to talk about in a moment. And then I'd get to a place where I thought that I was doing okay. And then something in my life would come along and it would totally knock me for six. And I would then feel like I'd failed. Why can't I do this? What is wrong with me? I should be okay by now. I know what to do. And yet I'm still beating myself up and feeling bad and not practicing self-love. And I think that's the first thing to remember, is that it's actually okay to have down days. You know, life is going to give us ups and downs. It's just how it is. You know, you always have these periods of ebb and flow, of peaks and troughs, you know, of ups and downs. You always, no matter who you are, you're always going to get those parts when sometimes you're going to be up and it's going to be fine and it's going to be good and you're going to think, yeah, I've done it. And then there's going to be other days when you feel rubbish and you feel tired and you feel hard on yourself and you just feel like everything's going wrong. And in those moments, what I want to say to you is that it's okay to feel them. You know, life is hard, and I am never going to stand here and talk to you and say that you must be in this high vibe, high energy place all of the time to ever have the kind of life that you want, because that's not life. It's not real, right? We're all going to have days that we're feeling low, no matter who we are. The trick, though, is to recognize the feeling. You can feel it, right? Feel it. Because feeling it allows you to get into the energy of then getting out of it again and riding the wave and actually getting back on the up. It's not about not feeling it. It's not about not being down. It's not about not letting your energy dip. It's about noticing it, working through it, allowing your self the space and the ease to actually let it come, knowing that it'll flow out again, because it always does. If you're doing the work and if you know what to do, you know, you'll always ride the wave back to your high energy again, because you're in a, you know, it's kind of the ebb and flow, like I said. So allow the feeling. Don't criticize yourself for feeling the feelings, because that's not practicing self-love either. When you beat yourself up for feeling down, you actually give yourself more to beat yourself up about. And you start criticizing yourself again. You start going, I'm useless, I'm hopeless, why am I feeling like this? That's not what you do, right? You just give yourself the space and the time to ride it out and come back. And actually, by doing that, you'll get back to the up state much, much, much quicker than trying to shut out the feelings, tell them they were wrong, that they can't come, that you're not meant to feel like this. That is not going to help you. Okay, so you have to be kind to yourself. You have to build the skill. You have to be consistent, and you have to, you know, feel the feelings, feel all the feelings, because life happens. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I want you to say is, as women, I can't talk for men because I'm not one. But I've noticed with women especially, and maybe it's only just because I notice women doing it more so. And if there's any men here watching or listening, you know, tell me if you do it too, because I'd be really interested. I'm pretty sure that you do, but we are pretty rubbish at taking compliments. And one of the first things and the first easy steps that I want you to do is actually take a compliment, right? There have been times in my life when I'm in the down, phases, before I was doing this work, and when I was really not in a place of self-love at all, somebody would say to me, oh, you look really nice today, you know, have you got a new dress on? And I'd deflect and I would go, this? No, it's just, I found it in the back of my wardrobe, it's old. Or, as today, I've got my fancy earrings in because they make me feel better and I'm going away for the weekend, so why not? You know, somebody might stop me and go, oh, I really like your earrings. In the old space, the old Jane would go, these? Oh, no, they're nothing. They're just, I've had them ages. Or, you know, your makeup looks lovely today. Have you done something new to your hair? No, I haven't. No, it's nothing. No. And I deflect them all away. And now, the one thing that I've learned to do is to actually take the compliment. Take it in the manner it was meant and run with it and let it empower you. You will notice, if you've ever been on my social media, that whenever somebody says something nice to me, I always just say, thank you. I don't need to go into any more than that. Just actually the act of saying thank you to the compliment means you've taken it on board. It means you've let it come into your energy and you've let it empower you. That's all you need to do. You know, like I had my hair done yesterday and I put a post up on my Facebook and I just sort of went, you know, new hair feels or whatever it was. And so many people commented it looks lovely. And on every single one of those comments, I just said, thanks. Yeah, I really like it. I feel good. That was me taking the compliment on board, taking on what they're saying, the nice thing that they've said to me, and just letting it build me up. That's all you have to do. It's that simple. Do not deflect compliments. Take them. Because if somebody's taking the time to say that nice thing to you, then the one thing that you can do just to be kind, to be nice, to be a good person is actually be grateful for that compliment, take it on board. They've taken the time to give it to you. The least you should do is actually take it on and say thank you. That's just good manners. Now, as I've learned, I was obviously really bad mannered back in the day when I didn't take any. So that's one thing, but the other thing, the real purpose of this video and my challenge to you, I told you there was one, is I want you to take on a practice that I like to call Best Friend Day. And this is something that I teach to a lot of people that I work with, and it's something that I've done myself for many a year now. Best Friend Day is a day where you get up in the morning and for the entire day you have to treat yourself the way you would treat your best friend. So what that means is that every time you feel your mind criticizing something, you have to say, would I talk to my best friend like that? And I'm willing to bet you wouldn't ever. And so you stop, you catch the thought and you change it to the thought, to the statement that you would give to your best friend. So it will go something like this. You'll get up in the morning on a normal random day. You'll put on what you've picked to wear that day. You'll put it on, you'll look at yourself in the mirror because you've not done your makeup yet and your hair's still a mess because you just got out of bed, and you'll go, you look a mess. Well, would you, if you were having coffee with your best friend and she walked in to the coffee shop, would the first thing that came out of your mouth when you saw her was, what are you wearing that for? You look a right mess. You wouldn't. You would not do it. So don't do it to yourself. Best Friend Day means talking to yourself like your best friend. So you don't criticize yourself. There's no negative chatter. There's nothing nasty. You give yourself compliments all day. You tell yourself how much you like about yourself. You know, if you find yourself doing something that you may have just smiled to a stranger or held a door open for somebody, in your mind, instead of going, yeah, whatever, you go, that was really nice of me. That was really nice. That person really appreciated that. Big yourself up, right? If we don't big ourselves up, there's not many people that are going to do it for us apart from our best friends. And so that is the purpose of this. Have Best Friend Day. Whenever you feel the negative voice, whenever you feel the criticism coming into your brain, catch it. Catch the thought. Change it to a nice one and make it something you would say to your best mate. And I promise you, the more you practice this, the more you do this, because you're going to start doing it from an entire day. From the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, you have to do this. And the more you practice catching the thought before you actually make it reality, the more you practice catching the critical thing that you were going to say to yourself, the easier it will be for you to notice it the next time. Because your brain can only actually handle one thought at a time. And if the thought that you're thinking is a nice one and something that's positive, then that's all it can manage. It can't give you criticism at the same time. And the more you catch it, and the more you see the positives, and the more you see the nice things about yourself, your reticular activating system is going to throw more of those things at you, because that's its job. Its main focus is to give you what you're focusing on, in a nutshell. So, for example, just to give an example of this, right, when we bought our new car, about 2 years ago now, it's bright yellow. We call it Sunny, and it really is a big bright yellow, hard to miss car. And before we bought it, I'd never really noticed yellow cars. Now, because it's in my brain and it's in my attention span, because I own it, everywhere I go I see yellow cars. And that's the power of the reticular activating system, right? So if you are wanting to see more good, you have to show it good. If you are wanting to see more positive, you have to show it positive. And then its job is to go off and find other good things and other positive things to prove to you that you're not lying, to prove to you that what you're seeing is correct, because it's the gatekeeper of our subconscious mind. And so the reticular activating system is there to show us that what we're thinking is right. And so if you practice Best Friend Day, and you practice being nice to yourself, and you practice the good thoughts, and you practice being kind to yourself rather than being nasty and critical and negative, your RAS in your brain is going to go, okay, so that's what we're focusing on. I'm going to go and find more of those things now to prove to us that we're right. And it will find more and more and more things to prove to you that you're a positive person, that you're a nice person, that there's no things about you that you need to criticize. And so that's how amazing this stuff can be. And that, going back to honing the muscles, is how you build your self-love muscle. You don't just do it once and forget about it and think you've got it for life. You have to build it. You have to practice it. You have to be consistent. So have Best Friend Day. Go and have Best Friend Day. Practice it for yourself and see how it feels, and see how actually lovely it feels. It might feel a bit weird in the first place if you've never done it, but I promise you, once you've got like 1 or 2 hours in, once you're kind of lunchtime-ish, it's going to start becoming easy. And then the more you do it, when you practice it again the next week and the next week and the next week, because we're being consistent, you're going to find it easy. And before you know it, you'll be doing it all the time without even thinking about it, and you'll be noticing more things about yourself that are good because the RAS has kicked in, and that is how easy it can be. Accept the compliments, acknowledge when you're feeling good or bad, because that's not negative. It's actually good to feel the feelings. Have Bestie Day, and then come back to my original question once you've done all those practices. And then if I now said to you, who do you love most in your life? I really hope that a lot more of you would say me, would actually say myself. Because self-love, self-care, self-worth, it's so important. If you're empty, you can't pour from an empty cup. You've all heard that saying. If you are running on empty and you are constantly picking at yourself and being negative and being nasty, it's gonna bring you down. And when you're in that space, you haven't got anything to give to anyone else. And so if anyone tries to tell you that self-love is egotistical or selfish or any of those things that you might think it is, it's actually not. Looking after yourself, taking care of yourself, and actually starting to love yourself is one of the most, if not the most important job you can do. Because when you come at everybody else, all the other people in your life from that space and all the other things in your life from that space, everybody gets a better version of you, and everybody gets a better life because of it. So please practice Best Friend Day. Please begin to take compliments, and start to see how worthy and brilliant and lovable and amazing you really are, because it's massively important. And I really want you all to get that, because I've been at both ends now, and don't get me wrong, I still have days where I struggle, and this is where I say it's okay to feel those days, and it's okay to ride the wave. But most of the time now, most of the time it's good, and that's because I'm practicing, I'm consistent, and I'm building the muscle, and I'd love you to do the same.